appreciate everybody coming. This is the Defense and Veterans Affairs Committee. Is our senator here? Yeah. Okay. I didn't see you, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. My old General George S. Patton said, "Don't apologize as a sign of weakness," but I'll apologize and say that I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we wasted a lot of time over that day and held y'all up, but it is important. And the man told me that we treat him well on the budget, so I think you're gonna forgive us, aren't you? Okay, that's good. Glad to have our friends here from across the street, the ones who help us with veterans. And I'm State Representative John Yates, and this is the House Defense and Veterans Affairs Committee, and our purpose today is to take up Senate Bill 76, and I think Senator Jackson is here to tell us how good it is, and recognize our attorney over here has faithfully come over to be with us, and David Bunridge, and I think we got a quorum and we're all ready to go. Thank you, sir. Well, I appreciate you hanging around and waiting for your bill here.
Well, sir, it's my honor. I understand this is an outstanding committee, and a lot of my friends are here, so I'm honored to present Senate Bill 76. As you know, this is called the Returning Veterans Task Force Bill, and it's to honor those that have served this country. It is to it is also to look after those who have taken care of those that have taken care of our country. We stand for freedom. America all over the world. And when these young men and young women come back, we need to do all that we can to make sure that they come back into society, and we do the best thing for them in the best possible way. So the Returning Veterans Task Force, what it does is it is a task force that asks for a representative from each of the following departments: from Department of Veteran Services, from the Department of Community Health, from the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, Commission of Labor, from the Department of Defense, from the Board of Regents, and the Technical College of Georgia. And these people are appointed by the governor, and they shall serve as a task force to bring ideas and suggestions how we can best serve them. They will bring it to the governor's office and to the Senate and to the House to make recommendations of how that we can best serve veterans. And it's a simple bill. They meet quarterly. It's no cost to the state. And what happens is it's a way of just giving thanks to those people that serve this country, and once again trying to help them reacclimate themselves into society. If there be any, I will stand for questions, Mr. Chair.
Tell us how it is. Why is this not being taken care of now?
What happens is it's being taken care of now, but what happens is the Department of Labor has a task force that does veteran services. The Board of Regents has a department that does veteran services. The Technical Board of Education does something, but they don't work together. So there's a lot of duplications of services.
I see.
So what this task force does is everybody bring what they're doing so that we don't duplicate services. And I anticipate that it'll be a cost. I mean, it'll be a cost savings, because you don't have different department heads, each of them doing a different task for veterans. Because when the veterans look for services, especially when it comes to education, they go to the Department of Labor, and the Department of Labor gives them an answer. They go to the Board of Regents, they get a different answer. Then they go to technical education, then they get a different answer. What happens is we bring everybody together to make sure everybody's on the same track, same mind, and they will consolidate their efforts together so that we can best take care of our veterans.
I believe Representative Hockman has a question.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Jackson, I appreciate what you're doing, and I think that there's great need for this. Within the community of recent veterans, there are, as I'm sure you're aware, higher levels of unemployment. There's also very sobering and staggering numbers of suicides. And so I think that investigating what type of policy proposals we can make is really important. The only thing which I didn't see in this bill, and I don't know if it's implied in the charge is to see if they might examine what other states are doing besides just what we're capable of doing, but see how our veteran services map up against the provisions in other states. Is that your intent with this?
Well, what we're asking for is the Department of Veteran Services to investigate what other veteran services are doing in other states and bring those recommendations to the task force. And that's a branch of the Department of Veteran Services. And I understand firsthand about this. In fact, one of my employees is a former veteran, and she had a lot of disabilities because of combat, of the combat things she went through, and she had hard times finding a job because of the stress level what it went through, and I understood that firsthand. So, but she's a dental assistant in my office now, and she's doing quite well with treatment, but she had a hard time finding treatment. And she was unemployed, living in a car, and she walked in my office and wanted to work, and she said she was a dentist in the Army, a dental assistant in the Army. And I brought her in, so I understand. I worked, serving in the Navy, I understand. So, it is a need that they need somewhere to go, and someone needs to understand.
Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
But yes, that will be a function of the Department of Veteran Services.
Okay.
Any other questions from anybody? Any other member has a question? I believe we have some people from the Veterans Service across the street that want to talk on it. I don't know which one of you want to address this. Thank you, Senator.
I'm Dan Holtz, Assistant Commissioner of the Department of Veterans Service for Administration, Health, and Memorials. And I just want to say that on behalf of Commissioner Pete Wheeler, we support this legislation. We think there's a real positive thing that can come out of this, and we look forward to working with the other agencies in putting this together and coming up with issues that we may or may not be aware of. One of the things that we've talked a lot with the Department of Labor here recently, in fact, I had a conversation with them earlier today, and we're working with them on returning military personnel job opportunities. And there's a grant that has been issued by the U.S. Department of Labor that they are acting on here in the state of Georgia. And one of the things that they came up with independently on their own was a task force very similar to this legislation that Senator Jackson has brought forth. And they called me today and said, "Have you heard about this thing?" I said, "Yes, as a matter of fact, we wholeheartedly support it." And we're working with them on employment issues. My background is healthcare administration, and so I kind of look at it from the behavioral health, developmental disabilities, DHS, all those kinds of things where we can provide healthcare services, community health, in addition to education issues and employment issues. So there's a whole umbrella here that we see as a real positive thing that this legislation will afford us the opportunity to deal with. So where it's going to go, is anybody's guess. But our intention in veteran service is to make this a positive thing so that all of the agencies are talking to each other, where right now they may or may not be. So we see this as a real positive thing, and we look forward to participating and leading the charge.
Thank you. We are fortunate, I think, to have a governor who is very much for taking care of veterans, and we just passed a big bill, in the House that is helping to find jobs for veterans and so forth. So in the Senate now, and so appreciate your input on that. Is anybody have a question for Mr. Holt?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. You have anybody else to speak, or are you not? Okay. Does anybody else want to speak for or against this bill? Let it be known. Does the senator have anything else to say?
No, sir.
No.
But if this committee should find this bill should pass, I would like for my colleague in South Georgia, Bill Hitchens, to carry it on the floor, sir.
To carry the bill?
Yes, sir.
Uh,
He's a great American.
in the House, you mean?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
On the House floor.
All right.
Great committee member.
All right. Thank you. Do I have a motion?
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second? You second, okay. All in favor, raise your right hand. I believe it's unanimous. What's funny?
I just said, I think he passed.
Well, yeah, I guess nobody argues with unanimous, do they? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I just want to say one thing before we depart. We're planning next week. We should have had it early in this session, but we try to meet with our people across the street who work with us so closely, and I wanted everybody to be sure to attend the next meeting that we have, so that I introduce all the people and tell what you did and whether you were in a war or not, and what you got to say about the service, and then we ask hopefully our commissioner, who I have high regard for, longest serving public servant in the United States. That's saying something, but that they'll be over, and we'll just use that as a time to communicate back and forth, so that it just work out any way we can to help veterans in a better way, and look forward to that. Well, with that, unless somebody else got something to say, we are adjourned. Appreciate all y'all staying this late hour and getting this job done today.